Malcolm X was born Malcolm Little on May 19, 1925, in Omaha, Nebraska. He was one of 8 children born to Louise Norton Little and Earl Little. His mother was a homemaker, and his father was a self-sufficient man, outspoken minister, and devoted supporter of the UNIA, led by Marcus Garvey. Because of this, the Ku Klux Klan made threats against his father, and the family moved to Lansing, Michigan. There, they faced similar circumstances. In 1931, Malcolm's father was found dead on the town's trolley tracks. The police officially ruled his death a suicide, and Malcolm's mother suffered an emotional breakdown after the murder of her husband, and Malcolm and his siblings were split up throughout the foster care system. Malcolm attended West Junior High School, where he was the school's only black student. He excelled academically and was popular amongst his classmates, and he was elected class president. Although Malcolm excelled in school, he dropped out at the age of 15. After dropping out of school, Malcolm moved to Boston, Massachusetts, and he held occupations as a kitchen hand and shoe shiner. He later became acquainted with the city's criminal underground, and in 1946, he was convicted of burglary charges and sentenced to 8 to 10 years. While incarcerated, Malcolm read consistently in an attempt to make up for the years of education he had missed by dropping out of high school. While in prison, he was introduced to the Nation of Islam, and between 1948 and 49, he converted to Islam while in prison. After his parole in 1952, Malcolm was a devoted follower with the new surname X. He considered Little a slave name and chose X to signify his tribal name.
What is your real name?
Malcolm X.
Is that your legal name?
As far as I'm concerned, it's my legal name. During slavery, the same slave master who owned us put his last name on us to denote that we were his property. So that when you see a Negro today who's named Johnson, if you go back in his history, you'll find that he was once his grandfather or one of his forefathers was owned by a white man who was named Johnson.
He was appointed as a minister and national spokesman of the Nation of Islam. He established new mosques in cities such as Detroit and Harlem. Malcolm utilized newspaper columns as well as radio and television to communicate the NOI's message across the United States. He increased membership of the NOI from 500 in 1952 to over 30,000 by 1963. But in March of 1964, he and his family left the Nation of Islam due to unforeseen circumstances. During the spring of 1964, Malcolm X traveled to the Middle East and Africa. Upon returning, he started the Organization of Afro-American Unity, a secular political group. In December 1964, Malcolm X gave his famous speech at Oxford University, in which he spoke on the civil injustices and inequalities faced by people of color in the United States.
And in my opinion, the young generation of whites, blacks, browns, whatever else there is, you're living at a time of extremism, a time of revolution, a time when there's got to be a change. People in power have misused it, and now there has to be a change, and a better world has to be built, and the only way it's going to be built is with extreme methods. And I, for one, will join in with anyone, don't care what color you are, as long as you want to change this miserable condition that exists on this earth. Thank you.
Malcolm X was a civil rights activist, minister, and is seen as one of the most famous African Americans in history. If you enjoy watching our videos and would like to have a hand in creating them, click the Patreon link below to become a patron. Patreon is an online platform that allows users to support content creators in developing unique content. So go ahead, click that link, become a patron.